Hello everybody, I'm Joe Davis, member of Youth Parliament, the Isle of Wight. Kieran is annoying me in the room next door because I allowed him to crash here last night, and today it is the 9th of June. Apologise if I ramble a little bit, I'm a little bit tired. I didn't get to sleep until 4:30 last night, and then stupidly I was up at 7:30, I didn't set an alarm, I just woke up at 7:30 to check the results. So I'm very tired, and I'm a man who normally needs 8 hours sleep a night, so I really don't know the words that are about to come out of my mouth. But basically, of course, last night we had the election, exciting time, someone who's really into politics, a very horrific time for everybody else in the world. And it was a very interesting election. But basically I've had a lot of people message me and basically say, what the bloody hell is going on, Joe? In slightly stronger language than that, but I make these for a family audience, so I couldn't repeat that language. And I think that's an interesting point, actually, because I have been saying that to myself. What the hell is going on? This is mental. And I think, to be honest, most of the pundits that I've been watching on the news have been effectively saying the same thing, which is, like, this wasn't supposed to happen. This is a big upset. It's crazy. So I thought I would, you know, sort of throw my 2 cents in, try and explain some of the words that have been thrown around by some of the commentators, and explain kind of what has happened in the past, like, 12 hours or so. Okay, so of course we all know that this election was called, it was a snap election, and basically everyone was saying Theresa May was going to have this huge majority of 60 or 80 votes, no, a little bit more than that, 60 or 80 seats, and basically it really hasn't turned out like that. So it all kind of started going wrong for her about 10 PM last night when the polls closed. The exit poll comes out. That's a poll they have, I think it's in 140 polling stations around the country, like randomly chosen. They have like 20,000, they speak to like 20,000 people and ask who did you vote for, and then they extrapolate the data out and sort of sell it for lots and lots of money to the TV channels. And basically this came out and said, based on our data, it's going to be a hung parliament. Now that's a pretty crazy development, but just quickly, because I know a lot of people are saying hung parliament, not really explaining what hung parliament means, so I'll just quickly, you know, a hung parliament, basically a government, or a party that's trying to become a government, wants 326 seats, right? So there's 650 seats in parliament, they want 326, because that is obviously half, well, one more than half of 650. So the idea behind that is, if you have more than half, whenever there's a vote in parliament, whatever you've put through, whether it's 4 bank holidays a year or the dementia tax, if you have 326 MPs, then that will get through, that will be voted yes. Now the problem arises when no party gets 326 seats, and that is called a hung parliament. That's what's happened now. So the person in first, the party in first is the Conservatives, well, I think 318 seats, so of course 8 less than a majority. Labour are on something like 262 seats, I believe. So what happens then is, and this is what's happening literally right now as we film, and the problem is, of course, this is a very fast moving thing, so I'm filming this at like literally bang on 12 o'clock. I know Theresa May is driving to Buckingham Palace apparently at 12:30, so this probably won't be uploaded until like 1 or 2 in the afternoon, so by the time this is uploaded I'm sure everything I've said is out of date. But basically, when you have a hung parliament, there are a few things that can happen, and one of those is going to happen in the next sort of 36 hours, so just so you know what's going on. Basically, the 3 options that happen when no party has a majority are as follows. Either A, a minority government is formed, either B, a coalition is formed, or C, a new election is called. So I'll just quickly run through those. My phone's turning off. Quickly run through those and explain what they mean and if I think that's going to happen. Okay, so firstly, I can't remember the arbitrary order I assigned. I think the first one I said was a minority government. Okay, so the idea behind that is the Conservatives, they have the most seats, they're the current incumbent party, so they, the convention, the sort of the accepted way it works, the kind of unwritten rule, which is basically how our constitution works, is that the current incumbent party and the party with the most votes, they have the first chance to form a government. So a minority administration is like the Conservatives with 318 seats say, okay, we're 8 seats short of a majority, but we will form a government anyway, and you know, we will basically get through each bill, one bill at a time. A bill is a law before it's passed. So every vote we will get through one vote at a time, and each vote we will just find 8 MPs from other parties who agree with us. That is one way they can go about it. The other is a coalition, like we saw in 2010 with the Conservatives and the Liberal Democrats. The idea there is, so the Conservatives, for example, have 318. I think I'm making these numbers as I go along. I think it's 318. I think I said 310 earlier, but I think it's 318. So they can then say to, for example, the DUP, and I'll get to that in a second, the DUP with 10 seats, they can say, hang on, we have 318, you have 10, why don't we work together and work, form a government of more than one party, two parties, a coalition, will work together and we'll form a government together. And then the third possible outcome is another election. Now, a minority government, that's the first option. Labour last night at about 2 in the morning was saying, yeah, we'll do a minority administration ourselves. For me, for my money, I think that's unlikely. This whole election was called for stability, strong and stable leadership, of course, against a coalition of chaos. The idea was a strong hand for Theresa May and her team, as they love to say, going into Brussels to negotiate. So a minority administration, as I said, the idea behind that is one bill at a time. One round, one punch. That's one step, one punch, one round. It doesn't matter. Anyway, the idea being that every bill they try to pass, every vote that they try to get passed will be literally a bloodbath. Their whips will be running around all hours of the day trying to get these votes. The problem with that, of course, when you've got a big thing like Brexit going on, is how can Theresa May focus on negotiating with Brussels if she's focusing on negotiating with the DUP and the Lib Dems and, whoever, every week to get her bills through. So for my money, sorry, my phone keeps turning off. I'm trying to time so I don't ravel on for ages. For my money, that is unlikely. Now, the one that we're seeing literally right now is, kind of a coalition. So the Conservatives are 318. There's the DUP, the Democratic Unionist Party from Northern Ireland. They have 10. So if they work together, that's 328. That's enough for a majority. Now, the DUP have said something like, I think the quote was, "This talk of a official agreement is premature." So it's probably not going to be a coalition like we saw with Nick Clegg and David Cameron, sharing the cabinet posts. For my money, I think what's going to happen, and what everyone's saying is going to happen, and what Theresa May has all but said is going to happen, is that the Conservatives will form an administration, a government, and then the DUP will support them, basically. So they won't vote against them. Now that is very interesting, and of course, so as Youth Parliament, I have to be impartial. So this is my humble opinion, and I think it's okay for me to have an opinion on Northern Irish politics because no one watching this is in Northern Ireland, and I'm not trying to sway any elections. The election is over. The DUP have some very questionable views, let's say, for impartiality on social issues. So they are a very socially conservative party who are effectively responsible for ensuring gay marriage hasn't passed in Northern Ireland, strongly against abortion. Their former leader came into trouble with Islamophobic comments. They had a candidate a few years ago who said something like gay people shouldn't be able to adopt because their children are then more likely to be abused and neglected. They are quite an unsavoury party with very unsavoury views. And of course the problem with this is that if Theresa May is relying on them in this next 5 years, then perhaps we might see her having to have a little bit of a give and take. That's what we don't know. And I'm not going to speculate on that because I'm really not an expert, and BBC, Sky, Channel 4, all of the channels have people far more qualified than myself speculating on that. But basically, there's a long way of saying the sit-rep at the moment, no party has enough to form a government outright. The Conservatives are ahead, so it's likely that Theresa May will be in Parliament, but with the quirks of our sort of unwritten constitution, we really don't know. Jeremy Corbyn could end up in number 10 before the end of the week, but that's unlikely. There's a chance that a snap election could be called before I turn 18 in 6 months and 9 days, but that again is unlikely. What we think is what has been said is happening at 12:30 today. So what would have happened by the time this is up is Theresa May is going to Buckingham Palace and asking the Queen to form a government. The real test will come, I think it's next Friday, the Queen's speech, which is basically the speech that's read by the Queen but written by the government that says what we're going to do in this Parliament. Then Parliament votes on that to either say yes, you're the government, or no, you're not. Now, if they were to vote on that with just the Conservatives at 318 seats, obviously they haven't got that. There's more people who can vote against them than vote for them. But if the DUP vote with them, then they've got 328, and that is enough for a majority. So it is very exciting times to be into politics. It's very scary times. We've seen the markets kind of fluctuating all over the place. And that is really about as clear as I can get it. I hope that's kind of explained what is meant by when people are saying minority government and coalition. All this to say is that things are changing by the minute. So even if you don't really care about politics, this is the best time I really can think of to get into politics, because this is an incredibly exciting turn of events for nerds like myself. So I would recommend just keep following the news, see what's going on, and well, we will, you know, we'll see what's going on. I have a festival to get to now, so thank you everybody for watching. This wasn't very helpful. I'm probably going to have a nap before I go to the festival, because as you can tell from this like 10-minute rant, I've got no idea what is going on today. So thank you very much. I think that's all I've got to say. Now, if in any way this helped you understand what's going on, feel free to share this with your friends and family who are confused, because I know it is a very confusing time. And to be honest, you might want to stick around. You can subscribe to my YouTube channel or whatever. I'm not a YouTuber. I don't ask people to do that, because it may well be that I have to make another one of these videos in a few days explaining that actually Jeremy Corbyn is in Downing Street, or we've given up and we're having another election. Who knows? So thank you very much for watching, and all that can be said is what a bloody exciting time to not be able to vote. Thank you.